Dear friends, among the many things, one thing that disturbs all of us is the silence of God before our prayers. The moments where we experience the absence of God's presence in our life, we feel a sort of stillness and a darkness that is too long to face, a darkness that is too scary and not welcomed at all. Life all of a sudden becomes quite disturbing. The historical backdrop for Isaiah chapter 58 is a period of fasting that followed the exile. Zechariah chapter 7 verses 3 to 5 indicates that the people of Israel fasted on the 5th and the 7th months for 70 years following the destruction of Jerusalem. Israel fasted at least twice a year, remembering the fact that they had lost their home, their king, and all their possessions. They fasted and prayed, seeking a response, an answer to their troubles. Friends, we are in the season of Lent. What is the loss that we experience today? What is the destruction that we face today? What is it that we need to abstain from? In Isaiah chapter 58 verse 3 we read, "Why have we fasted?" they say, "and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves and you have not noticed?" Friends, the people are clearly fasting in order that their prayers are responded. For the city of Jerusalem was in ruins. In Isaiah chapter 40 verse 27 we see the people of Israel going on complaining, "My way is hidden from the Lord and my right is disregarded by my God." Israel believed a great injustice had been done to them by Babylon. They had been held captive by foreign oppressors. Their city was in ruins. Their temple was destroyed. They have been abandoned by God. Israel complains that God has deprived them of justice. But friends, God responds by demanding Israel to stop depriving those around them of justice and righteousness. See friends, the people of Israel believed that they are the victims, where in fact they were the victimizers. So also, when we struggle in life, we tend to think that we are the victims, but before God, we are the actual victimizers. And what are our complaints to God? During this season of Lent, what is it that God is demanding from us today, from my family, from my society, to catch up with, to turn away from, and to reform? Although the people of Israel believed that they are seeking God through their fast, they forgot that Isaiah had clearly instructed that they were to seek justice, rescue the oppressed, defend the orphan, plead for the widow. The gospel clearly states that to truly seek the face of the Lord is to seek justice and righteousness for the poor and the oppressed. Friends, let us get around our life and see who are the poor around us. What is the oppression they are facing? How can I and my family become agents of change? And what is the penury, the poverty that I find within myself? The Israelites were very faithful in their worships and offerings to God, but they did not extend their faith commitment to the social and economic spheres of their lives. They secured their lives, and the struggles and oppressions of the poor did not concern them. For their own faults, they remained in darkness. What is the darkness that I face in my life, in my family? What is my living environment like? What is the liberation that I am seeking from? Is my prayers operative in my personal life, in my family life, and in my living environment? What benefit my neighbor has out of my prayers and fasting? Friends, Isaiah urges to his people that to cease from oppressing others is not enough. We need to be a people of justice and righteousness means to be actively engaged in the social and economic reform. We need to be agents of liberation, generosity, goodwill, and compassion for the poor and the oppressed. Isaiah urges to the people of Israel, pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted. The phrase pour yourself literally means to pour out your soul. This is the best disposition and offering that you and I can make before God. This is the best way we can raise our hearts to God. In chapter 58, verse 3, the expression humble oneself and afflict oneself refers to the fasting. Isaiah is calling for a full transformation of the heart of Israel, a fasting that leads to spiritual transformation. He reminds, fast not from food alone, but from affluence, indifference, and privileges, so that the community of faith might live in harmony with God and with one another. Fasting is an attempt to align our priorities to the will of God. How can we make the priorities of our families, my personal life, my community, and the society in alignment with the will of God? It is clear that the salvation God promises is conditioned upon the people's response. All the promises of Isaiah are introduced by the word then. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? Loosen the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, and then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Set the oppressed free and break every yoke, and then you call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and He will say, here I am. When you see the naked, clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. God also expects us, friends, to fast from the yoke of oppression, fast from pointing fingers on others, fast from talking malicious things, fast from character assassinations, and fast from your own indifferences. He also expects us to get involved in satisfying the needs of the oppressed. Why? Then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. Then your Lord will guide you always. Then He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land, and He will strengthen your frame. You in turn will become like a well-watered garden and like a spring whose waters never fail. The fast that I choose, says God, is a whole new way of life. The fast that I choose is a new set of relationships within the ongoing life. May Jesus, our Redeemer, bless each of us to enter into the deep meaning of fast so that it helps us to embrace a new way of life, a new set of relationships within the ongoing life. Amen.